Chapter 4. The Astral Colors, continued, by William Walker Atkinson. Remembering, always, the significance of the three primary colors on the astral plane, let us consider the meaning of the combinations, shades, hues, and tints of these colors. The red group. In this group of astral colors seen in the human aura, we find strongly in evidence the clear bright red shade, similar to that of fresh, pure arterial blood as it leaves the heart, filled with pure material freshly oxygenated. This shade, in the aura, indicates health, life force, vigor, virility, etc., in pure and untainted form. The aura of a healthy, strong child shows this shade of color very plainly and strongly. Strong, pure natural emotions such as friendship, love of companionship, love of physical exercise, healthy clean sports, etc., are manifested by a clear clean shade of red. When these feelings become tainted with selfishness, low motives, etc., the shade grows darker and duller. Love of low companionship, unclean sports, or selfish games, etc., produce an unpleasant muddy red shade. A shade of red, very near to crimson, is the astral color of love, but the tint and shade varies greatly according to the nature of this form of emotional feeling. A very high form of love, which seeks the good of the loved one, rather than the satisfaction of oneself, manifests as a beautiful rose tint. One of the most pleasing of the astral tints, by the way. Descending in the scale, we find the crimson shade becoming darker and duller, until we descend to the plane of impure, sensual, coarse passion, which is manifested by an ugly, dull, muddy crimson of a repulsive appearance, suggesting blood mixed with dirty earth or barnyard soil. A peculiar series of red shades are those manifesting anger in its various forms, from the vivid scarlet flashes of anger color, arising from what may be called righteous indignation, down the scale to the ugly flashes of deep, dull red, betokening rage and uncontrolled passion. The red of anger generally shows itself in flashes or great leaping flames, often accompanied by a black background, in the case of malicious hate, or by a dirty, greenish background when the rage arises from jealousy or envy. The color of avarice is a very ugly combination of dull, dark red, and a dirty, ugly green. If persons could see their own astral colors accompanying these undesirable mental states, the sight would perhaps so disgust them with such states as to work a cure. At any rate, they are most disgusting and repulsive to the occultist who beholds them in the human aura, and he often wonders why they do not sicken the person manifesting them. They often do just this thing, to tell the truth. Now the yellow group. In this group of astral colors seen in the human aura, we find as many varieties as we do in the red group. Yellow, denoting intellect, has many degrees of shade and tint, and many degrees of clearness. An interesting shade in this group is that of orange, which represents different forms of pride of intellect, intellectual ambition, love of mastery by will, etc. The greater degree of red in the astral orange color, the greater the connection with the physical or animal nature. Pride and love of power over others has much red in its astral color, while love of intellectual mastery has much less red in its composition. Pure intellectual attainment and the love of the same is manifested by a beautiful clear golden yellow. Great teachers often have this so strongly in evidence that at times their students have glimpses of a golden halo around the head of the teacher. Teachers of great spirituality have this nimbus of golden yellow, with a border of beautiful blue tint, strongly in evidence. The paintings of the great spiritual teachers of the race usually have this radiance pictured as a halo, showing a recognition of the phenomenon on the part of the great artists. Hoffman's celebrated painting of the Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane shows this nimbus so accurately depicted that the occultist is convinced that this artist must have actually witnessed a similar scene in the astral light. So true to the astral facts are its details. The images of the Buddha also show this radiance. The rich golden shades of intellectual yellow are comparatively rare, a sickly lemon color being the only indication of intellectual power and found in the aura of the great run of persons. To the sight of the occultist, employing his power of astral vision, a crowd of persons will manifest here and there, at widely separated points, the bright golden yellow of the true intellect, appearing like scattered lighted candles among a multitude of faintly burning matches. Now the green group. This is a peculiar group, consisting as of course it does of various combinations of blues and yellows, tinted and shaded by white or black. Even skilled occultists find it very difficult to account for the fact of certain green shades arising from the spiritual blue and the intellectual yellow. This is one of the most obscure points in the whole subject of the astral colors, and none but the most advanced occultists are able to explain the why in some instances. To those who are fond of analysis of this kind, I will drop the following hint, which may help them out in the matter, viz. The key is found in the fact that green lies in the center of the astral spectrum and is a balance between the two extremes, and is also influenced by these two extremes in a startling manner. A certain restful green denotes love of nature, out-of-door life, travel in the country, etc., and also, slightly differing in tint, the love of home scenes, etc. Again, a clear, beautiful lighter tint of green indicates what may be called sympathy, altruistic emotion, charity, etc. Again, illustrating variety in this group of astral colors, another shade of green shows intellectual tolerance of the views of others. Growing duller, this indicates tact, diplomacy, ability to handle human nature, and descending another degree or so blends into insincerity, shiftiness, untruth, etc. There is an ugly slate-colored green indicating low, tricky deceit. This is a very common shade in the colors of the average aura, I am sorry to say. Finally, a particularly ugly, muddy, murky green indicates jealousy and kindred feelings, envious malice, etc. Now the blue group. This interesting group of astral colors represents the varying forms and degrees of religious emotion, spirituality, etc. The highest form of spiritual, religious feeling and thought is represented by a beautiful, rich, clear violet tint, while the lower and more gross phases of religious emotion and thought are represented by the darker and duller hues, tints, and shades until a deep, dark indigo is reached, so dark that it can scarcely be distinguished from a bluish black. This latter color, as might be expected, indicates a low superstitious form of religion, scarcely worthy of the latter name. Religion, we must remember, has its low places as well as its heights. Its garden grows the rarest flowers, and at the same time the vilest weeds. High spiritual feelings, true spiritual unfoldment, is indicated by a wonderfully clear light blue, of an unusual tint, something akin to the clear light blue of the sky on a cool autumn afternoon, just before sunset. Even when we witness an approach to this color in nature, we are inspired by an uplifting feeling as if we were in the presence of higher things. So true is the intuition regarding these things. Morality, of a high degree, is indicated by a series of beautiful shades of blue, always of a clear, inspiring tint. Religious feeling ruled by fear is indicated by a shade of bluish gray. Purple denotes a love of form and ceremony, particularly those connected with religious offices or regal grandeur of a solemn kind. Purple, naturally, was chosen as the royal color in the olden days. Now the brown group. The brown group of astral colors represents desire for gain and accumulation, ranging from the clear brown of industrious accumulation to the murky dull browns of miserliness, greed, and avarice. There is a great range in this group of brown shades. As may be imagined, the gray group. The group of grays represents a negative group of thought and emotions. Gray represents fear, depression, lack of courage, negativity, etc. This is an undesirable and unpleasant group. Now black. Black, in the astral colors, stands for hatred, malice, revenge, and devilishness, generally. It shades the brighter colors into their lower aspects and robs them of their beauty. It stands for hate, also for gloom, depression, pessimism, etc. Now white. White is the astral color of pure spirit, as we have seen, and its presence raises the degree of the other colors and renders them clearer. In fact, the perception of the highest degree of being known to the most advanced occultist is manifested to the highest adepts and masters in the form of the great white light, which transcends any light ever witnessed by the sight of man on either physical or astral plane, for it belongs to a plane higher than either and is absolute, rather than a relative, white. The presence of white among the astral colors of the human aura betokens a high degree of spiritual attainment and unfoldment, and when seen permeating the entire aura, it is one of the signs of the master, the token of adeptship. End of chapter.